Us now for her reaction is former Indian ambassador to the United States, Meera Shakar. Ms. Shakar, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18. I don't know what you made of the first presidential debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Right from the get-go, Donald Trump going after China and Mexico, he didn't talk about India specifically, largely referred to the export of manufacturing jobs out of the U.S. to countries like Mexico and China. But do you believe that now we are going to see a move towards more insular policies if it is indeed Donald Trump that comes into office? Whether it was the TPP or the NAFTA, he questioned trade policies and he questioned the US's arrangement with allies as well.
Yes, I think Donald Trump has made it clear that he is looking to some extent at American isolationism, drawing inwards and also protectionism. So he's talked of job losses to Mexico, to China, and the need to do something. He's in the past talked of punitive tariffs to ensure that American companies don't move jobs overseas. And in that context, he's also talked of India when he's talking of moving jobs overseas. This time in the debate, he didn't. He referred mainly to China and Japan. He's also said he will not ratify the Trans-Pacific Partnership and will renegotiate both the WTO as well as NAFTA. So, we have to see how much of this he puts into practice. But clearly the message he's sending is one which taps into the anxieties in America, particularly the working class, about globalization, about the impact that it has had on American jobs and wages, and also anxieties on account of terrorism. So, he's giving vent to some extent to the rage and anger which seems to have really overwhelmed a section of voters in America. And, unlike the 2008 election of President Obama, which was really an expression of hope and optimism, I think this election is as much about fear and anger as that one was about hope and optimism.
Ms. Shakar, there were not many areas of agreement between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton as was expected, but one aspect that they did agree on, and you just alluded to that, was the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Donald Trump has called it a big blunder, a strategic mistake, and Hillary Clinton also seemed to suggest that her idea of what the TPP would mean for America stands changed today. So do you believe the TPP is in danger, whether it is Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton in office?
Yes, I think Hillary has, in the past, been quite positive about it, but that is when it was under negotiation. But during the campaign, she has moved and she has said that she will not ratify the Trans-Pacific Partnership as it stands today. Now, she comes under a lot of pressure because the American Federation of Labor and so on, groups which are close traditionally to the Democrats, have been the most opposed to the TPP. So the opposition to TPP, in fact, had come more from the traditional labor supporters of the Democrats than from the Republicans. And I think, President Obama indeed had got support from some of the Republicans for the TPP. But clearly, given the mood in America, Hillary has also taken a somewhat negative view. Now, for India, we are not a part of the TPP, nor is China.
That's right.
So, in that sense, I would say if it is not ratified, it probably won't really impact us adversely, because some of the standards being adopted in the TPP on environment, on labor, trade-related environment standards, trade-related labor standards, intellectual property rights, go well beyond the WTO. So in a sense, it puts
You're absolutely right.
a different standard, and then, willy-nilly countries like India or China would have to decide whether to join or to remain outside, So I think
you're right that we're not a party to the TPP. Yes, so let me ask you my final question on the US presidential debate, and then I'll talk to you in a bit on India and Pakistan. But my final question, what is it that you would be most concerned about from an India perspective? 2016, according to the US ambassador to India, Richard Verma, according to Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker, has been a year of transformation between India and the US. We believe that there has been a greater degree of convergence on a lot of issues. What would you be most concerned about if it indeed is Donald Trump in the White House?
I think I would be concerned about two things. One is American isolationism globally in the foreign policy field. So if Mr. Trump says, North Korea, let China take care of it, why are we interested? Or, I really won't come to the defense of our allies unless they paid their contribution or more than whatever, they owe us in a sense. So it's really turning the tables on American foreign policy as it has traditionally been pursued. And if there is a vacuum in Asia, if America withdraws from Asia and there is a vacuum in Asia, then, I think the balance in Asia could be impacted adversely. And from India's point of view, that would not be a good thing. I think the second would be on the trade front, where really this kind of protectionism, we don't know where it could lead. And if there is a protectionist sentiment, quite often the interdependency with China prevents real action against China, because their interlinkages economically are so dense and so vast that it kind of is a point of caution. Then the temptation is quite often to sideswipe India, because, after all, India has not that many levers in its own hands when it comes to the United States. So for us, it's not that
I would have liked... Yeah, we'll be impacted on account of that. I would have liked to continue, but we're running out of time, Ms. Shankar. So I am going to ask you to stay with us, because we're going to move to talking about some of the other big stories, and then talk to you about the latest developments on the India-Pak situation. So I'd request you to just stay back with us.